Family Guy is known for its dark humor and funny jokes.
Oh, you'd rather have it down at the bank where the Jewish guys can leer at it?
Yeah!
But hidden in all of that, there are a lot of business lessons that nobody talks about. Today, we'll go over all of the hidden business lessons in Family Guy. Peter Griffin might seem like the last person you'd take financial advice from, but his approach to generating multiple income streams is actually genius. Throughout the series, Peter constantly starts new businesses and side projects.
Believe you'd buy a food truck. What are you even selling?
First of all, believe it, baby.
And while most of them fail spectacularly, his willingness to keep trying mirrors exactly what successful entrepreneurs do in real life. The key isn't that every venture succeeds, it's that he never stops creating new opportunities for income. This persistent entrepreneurial mindset is something that most people never develop, but it's the foundation of how real wealth gets built. Look at Peter's track record across the seasons. He started a tobacco company, opened a restaurant,
Coolest place in Quahog. All the movers and shakers and bigwigs are gonna eat here.
created his own TV show, started a band, and even tried his hand at real estate.
Armando, do you have the rent?
We're trying, Senor Griffin.
Or when he started Pretoria as his own country and tried to monetize it. In one episode, he literally becomes a successful businessman overnight just by applying basic sales principles. In another, he takes out a second mortgage to buy 200,000 lottery tickets and actually wins $150 million, only to blow it all in a month. But we're just going to forget about that. The crazy thing is that I haven't even mentioned half of his business ventures. The list goes on and on across over 20 seasons. Sure, most of these ventures crash and burn in spectacular fashion, but that's not the point. The point is volume and persistence. This is actually the exact strategy that made Elon Musk and Richard Branson billionaires. They didn't succeed because their first business was perfect. They succeeded because they kept starting new businesses until they found ones that worked. Peter's constant hustle mentality, even when it leads to disaster, demonstrates the most important wealth-building principle. You can't win if you don't play. Most people are too afraid of failure to even try one business, let alone multiple ones. They're paralyzed by the fear of looking stupid or losing money. But Peter doesn't care about looking stupid. He's willing to try anything if it might make money. In Lottery Fever, he buys thousands of lottery tickets, which is statistically stupid, but he actually wins. His fearless approach to business creation is exactly what creates wealth in the real world. But he would never be able to reach generational wealth unless he follows lesson 2. Innovation creates exponential wealth. Stewie Griffin is literally a baby, but his approach to wealth creation makes most adults look like amateurs. Throughout the series, Stewie consistently demonstrates advanced understanding of technology, innovation, and long-term thinking that are the hallmarks of serious wealth builders. While everyone else is focused on immediate gratification, Stewie has built time machines, weather control devices, teleportation equipment, and advanced AI systems, all from his bedroom. His most famous invention, the time machine, would be worth trillions if commercialized. He's created mind control devices, shrink rays, multiverse portals, and even a machine that can transfer consciousness between bodies. In Road to the Multiverse, he develops technology to travel between dimensions, something that would revolutionize physics if it existed in real life. In multiple episodes, he's shown to have significant financial resources and investments that he's accumulated through his inventions. In E Peterbus Unum, he mentions having offshore accounts. In Lottery Fever, while the family is broke, Stewie reveals he has his own money that he's been saving. He understands that real wealth comes from creating things that didn't exist before, not just trading time for money. His inventions might be cartoon-level ridiculous, but the principle is solid. Innovation creates exponential returns while regular jobs create linear returns. This mirrors exactly how tech billionaires like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates built their fortunes. Stewie's focus on technology and future thinking represents the mindset shift that separates millionaires from everyone else. While Peter is constantly chasing quick money, Stewie is building systems and technologies that could potentially generate wealth for decades. It's the difference between hunting for your next meal and building a farm that feeds you forever. This approach is backed by real-world evidence, too. A study by Thomas J. Stanley, author of The Millionaire Next Door, found that self-made millionaires are much more likely to be business owners and innovators than employees, even highly paid ones. Stewie's innovation-focused approach, while played for laughs in the show, actually represents the most reliable path to significant wealth in the modern economy. But innovation is only part of the equation. The next lesson is also very important, yet most people completely ignore.
Lesson 3. Your network determines your net worth.
One of the most overlooked aspects of Family Guy is how the Griffin family leverages their social connections to create opportunities. Whether it's Peter's job connections, Lois's family wealth, or even Brian's literary contacts, the show constantly demonstrates how your network directly impacts your net worth. The Griffins might be dysfunctional, but they understand something that most people miss. Relationships are the ultimate currency. Your financial opportunities in life are directly tied to who you know and who knows you. Throughout the series, major opportunities come to the Griffin family through their connections. Peter gets jobs through friends like Quagmire, Cleveland, and Joe. When he loses his job at the brewery, it's his connections that help him find new work. In Death Has a Shadow, he gets his job back at the toy factory through a connection. In The Thin White Line, Brian becomes a Border Patrol agent through his connection with Joe. Lois accesses her family's wealth and connections constantly. Her father, Carter Pewterschmidt, is a billionaire who, despite their rocky relationship, has bailed out the family numerous times. In Peterotica, Carter helps Peter start a publishing company. The show repeatedly demonstrates that who you know matters more than what you know. This is exactly how real wealth gets built and transferred in the real world. A study by the Federal Reserve found that family connections account for 30% of the variation in income between individuals. Peter's friendships with Quagmire, Cleveland, and Joe might seem like just drinking buddies at the Drunken Clam, but they've resulted in numerous job opportunities and business partnerships throughout the series. In fact, research shows that your income tends to be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. It's why wealthy families send their children to prestigious schools, not just for the education, but for the connections they'll make. The Griffins intuitively understand this principle and leverage it constantly, even if they don't articulate it directly. But networking is just the foundation. The show also teaches a more controversial lesson about money that most people refuse to accept. Lesson 4. Stop confusing morality with profitability. Family Guy doesn't shy away from showing how money actually works in the real world, and it's not always pretty.
Service never fails. Just take the cash and don't ask why we want your fingernails.
The show consistently demonstrates that building wealth often requires making decisions that aren't traditionally nice or fair. While most financial advice focuses on feel-good platitudes, Family Guy shows the harsh reality that successful people often have to be willing to prioritize profit over popularity. This doesn't mean being evil, but it does mean making tough choices that prioritize financial outcomes over social approval. Look at how the wealthy characters in Family Guy actually behave. Mr. Pewterschmidt, Lois's father, is ruthless in business but incredibly wealthy. Carter Pewterschmidt didn't build his fortune by being nice to everyone. He built it by making hard decisions that prioritized long-term wealth over short-term relationships. Just like Peter in Business Guy, he's shown to be a cutthroat businessman who doesn't hesitate to make tough decisions that affect thousands of employees.
We need to take risks. We need a complete overhaul. Gentlemen, you're all fired.
Even though that backfires hard, still you get the point. Even Peter's most successful business ventures happen when he temporarily abandons his usual people-pleasing behavior and focuses purely on results. When Peter briefly becomes a tobacco executive in Mr. Griffin Goes to Washington, he makes more money than ever before by ignoring the health consequences of his products. This doesn't mean you have to be a terrible person to get rich, but it does mean you'll probably have to make some decisions that won't make you popular with everyone. You'll have to say no to people asking for money. You'll have to negotiate harder than feels comfortable. You'll have to prioritize your financial goals over others' expectations of you. Warren Buffett famously said, "The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything." This ability to set boundaries and make unpopular decisions is consistently demonstrated by the wealthy characters in Family Guy, particularly Carter Pewterschmidt. Lesson 5. Monetize your personality in the creator economy. Brian Griffin represents the modern creator economy before the creator economy even existed. Throughout the series, Brian consistently tries to monetize his writing, his personality, and his unique perspective. While his attempts often fail, his approach to building a personal brand and creating content for profit demonstrates exactly how millions of people are building wealth today through social media and content creation. Brian understands that in the modern economy, intellectual property and personal branding can be more valuable than traditional labor. Brian writes novels, screenplays, blog posts, and even tries stand-up comedy. In Brian Writes a Bestseller, his self-help book, Wish It, Want It, Do It, becomes a massive hit, showing how content that resonates with an audience can create wealth almost overnight. Brian also constantly works on his personal brand. In Brian the Bachelor, he appears on a dating show to increase his visibility. This is perhaps the most relevant wealth lesson from Family Guy for today's economy. But all of these individual strategies mean nothing without the final piece of the puzzle that Family Guy teaches better than any financial advisor. Lesson 6. Fail fast, recover faster. The most important wealth lesson from Family Guy isn't about any specific strategy or tactic. It's about the Griffin family's incredible resilience and willingness to take risks. No matter how badly their plans fail, no matter how much money they lose, no matter how embarrassing their failures become, they always bounce back and try again. This psychological resilience is the foundation that makes all other wealth-building strategies possible. Without the ability to recover from failure and keep taking risks, none of the other wealth principles matter. Throughout hundreds of episodes, the Griffin family faces financial ruin, public humiliation, and complete failure on a regular basis. But they never stay down for long. Peter loses jobs and starts new businesses. Stewie's inventions blow up and he builds new ones. In Road to the Multiverse, his multiverse device malfunctions, stranding him and Brian, but he immediately starts working on a solution. Brian gets rejected by publishers and keeps writing. The family loses their house and finds ways to get it back. Their ability to recover from setbacks and keep moving forward is the real secret to their survival and occasional success. Most people give up after their first business fails, their first investment loses money, or their first creative project gets rejected. But the Griffins never stop trying, and that persistence is the common denominator among all wealthy people. This resilience is something anyone can develop, regardless of their background or resources. It's about developing what psychologist Angela Duckworth calls grit, the passion and perseverance for long-term goals. It's about viewing failure as feedback, rather than a final verdict on your abilities. The Griffin family's ability to bounce back from disaster isn't just a cartoon trope. It's the most realistic wealth-building principle in the entire show.